DBC stands for the Dread Broadcasting Corporation, whose cheeky diet of reggae radio blasted into the ether largely for ethnic audiences. But now there's nothing like it on the air. It's even been gloriously immortalized in film cartoon. But like all pirates, the glamour of DBC is in the ear of the beholder, and the reality for Mike and Lepke, the founders, much humbler. DBC has to be streetwise to survive, walking the Portobello Road now only because the law has caught up with them, seized their equipment and silenced their signal.
We're told it's a free country, free speech all the time. You can't do free speech. It hurts, you know. They say it's free speech. You try and set up a station and talk to somebody, they'll come and shut you down, you know.
Free enterprise even.
Yeah.
The whole concept of free enterprise is that every man should be able to compete with the next man, but it's contrary to free enterprise, the practice of free enterprise, the fact that it is so much more controlled.
And yet the law doesn't effectively control the pirates, even as they collect on street corners like this to buy more illegal equipment to get back on the air. It's the acid test of their credibility that people do give, and DBC will be back. For the market they serve is currently unfulfilled and capable of paying for itself unless or until the government cuts them off completely. But in the eyes of the legal operators, well, it's the government who's chicken.
The government makes the law, and currently it's just not enforcing the law.
For according to the commercial radio bosses, it's mostly deaf ears and blind eyes.
Not a totally blind eye, no. There is an attempt at enforcement, a level of enforcement, but it's not very effective. And the usual excuse that's given to us is that the law is inadequate, that they haven't got sufficient strength of law behind the British Telecom people who track down the pirates and raid them, or that there aren't enough people to do the actual enforcing.
All just excuses. For the pirates, Brian West maintains, should either be wiped out or else in some way legitimised.
Radio 1548 kilohertz, 95.8 stereo VHF.
And you can hear it on Radio 3 at 9:45.
But the view from the Home Office is a classical example of the confusion in law enforcement. For Douglas Hurd is only responsible for licensing, not apprehending offenders.
I think if you went to the legal broadcasters, indeed, who you represent, you would find that they do not think the law is announced. I think the law against pirate radio is essential if we're to have a liberal but sensible broadcasting system in this country.
You do have the power, surely, in government to wipe them off the map. Why don't you?
We don't have the power to wipe them off the map, any more than we have the power to wipe off the map somebody who hasn't got a legal car license, or somebody who hasn't got a legal telly license. There are laws, and we enforce the laws, and that is what is happening in all those cases.
From the lofty heights of central government, the Home Office boasts a score of prosecutions in a year, but has little positive to say about the motivation of the people they do take to court, and for that matter, the hundreds more who are never harassed at all.
I think what the authorities have got to learn is there is a necessity to have stations that give an alternative type of music. I want to push a button. I want to have a non-stop 24-hour soul station. I want to be able to push a button and have a country and western station, all-day chat station, anything. And the Home Office, they always say the same thing. They said it to us in the 60s. They said there is no room on the dial for it.
You will bear in mind that we would never have had the better light music programmes for the majority of people today without the pirates of Radio Caroline and Radio London. I don't think the changes would have come about without people bluntly pushing the law a bit far.
They are to be encouraged, therefore.
I think they should be encouraged to show enterprise, and if we make the law simpler, and if we make it a little bit cheaper, they can keep within the law. But if you make laws restrictive, they're always going to be broken.
And the law continues to be broken with alacrity for the cause of that lonely, silent community in Shropshire. The Ludlow sound of Radio Sunshine out in the wilds was prosecuted last December. But it's indicative of the determination of these rural radio rebels that they were back on the air within hours and unrepentant.
Why didn't you go off and run a respectable commercial radio station somewhere?
Well, I was up until the 8th of December.
This one?
This one.
At DBC, the same proud defiance applies among broadcasters who aren't in the big money league of commercial radio and, more to the point, have no desire at all to be. But Lepke, do you really want to be legalised, regulated?
No, we don't want to be regulated, we want to be legalised.
The people you're talking about could have applied not long ago when the Capital Radio franchise in London was re-advertised, where they could have applied to it. There are going to be new independent radio stations.
But today's pirates would never find merchant bank backing to beam out their specialist message, and the audience wouldn't want it either.
The IBA and some of the authorities don't know what the general public want.
And the law is?
An ass. An absolute ass. And it's about time they altered it.
The law stands as not very effective. OK, the law's an ass.
To such criticism, the minister maintains a stoical resistance. The government isn't ready or willing to preach peace unto pirates, even well-meaning ones.
A lot of them interfere, and they can't be sure that they don't, and we get many complaints that they do. They pinch out of people's frequencies, and they aren't under the obligations about violence, obscenity, and so on. Pirate radio is unfair.
But how much more unfair than depriving communities of stations they want because licensed commercial operators aren't prepared to do the job? Unfair to turn off the sunshine?